important day is full moon of the 12th month, and the moon is fullest in the whole year. Today will be the day that we really witness very beautiful moon. It is 11th of November 2019. Today, casually, I will be sharing with you with something very important. Let me take you back to 1987, or whatever I speak is always a history. Take you back to 1987, when we first organized the very first International Buddhist Nuns Conference in Bodh Gaya. Three co-founders, Venerable Kamalaksha Somo, an American nun ordained in Tibetan tradition, and Venerable Aya Khema. In that year, she was not yet a bhikkhuni. She became bhikkhuni in the following year. And myself, still a lay person, Dr. Chatsuman Kamil Singh. We came together and thought it is right time for us to come together. And later on we realized that it's actually the very first time in Buddhist history that Buddhist women actually stepped forward to come together and organize this wonderful conference. The conference was on International Buddhist Nuns, and it was organized cleverly. Just immediately after His Holiness teaching, His Holiness Dalai Lama usually comes to Bodh Gaya to give teaching, and there was a large crowd of people, like more than 20,000, in that small village of Bodh Gaya. So we took the advantage of organizing this meeting immediately after His Holiness teaching. So we could still use the tent, the big huge tent that was actually prepared for His Holiness teaching. At that time, there were something like participants from 20 countries. Of course, part of them came from His Holiness teaching, but then they stayed on. And for the first time that the conference was participated by the fourfold Buddhist communities, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, upasaka, and upasika. When we hosted lunch, the first lunch on the very first day of the meeting, His Holiness came, sitting in the center, and then the Theravada monks on one side and the bhikkhunis on another side, and lots of lay people. Now I tell you this story because among us today we have Madame Ranjani de Silva, who witnessed all this. Please pan the camera so that we catch a glimpse of Madame Ranjani de Silva. Now, that was the first one. Then Venerable Kamalaksha Somo, who actually organized that very first meeting, had an accident which took her years to recover. So in between, I thought it was getting too large a space, too long. So I organized another International Buddhist Women Conference in Thammasat University in Thailand. The name is different because she focused on Buddhist nuns. I said now we cannot focus only on Buddhist nuns only because we actually get support from the lay people, support from the Buddhist women. So let it be much more inclusive to include lay women also. So my conference was on International Buddhist Nuns Conference, 1991. This happened in Thammasat University in Thailand. Also at that time, there were large crowd, and I remember a large group of bhikkhuni from Korea. 30 of them came, and the very chief Korean nun was actually the president of the bhikkhuni, Korean bhikkhuni, who came to share with us. I was very impressed with their presence because they stayed on through the whole conference. So Sakyadhita was already proposed, but it was not used. Then Madame Ranjani was here in 1991, October 1991, to participate in the International Buddhist Women's Conference organized in Thailand. And here she came to meet Venerable Grandma on the second floor of this very building. At that time, there was Venerable Grandma from Thailand, Venerable Hechun Suk, the chief nun from Korea, Venerable Chow Yun Fa Sư from Taiwan. Three major, most senior bhikkhunis at that time, and Ranjani was on the floor, I was on the floor, and some other lay people. So it is actually historical movement, historical picture that we have to capture, that we still have that. Very, very interesting. Madame Ranjani, having seen the way I organize conference in Thailand, and the exhibition here, exhibition about Venerable Grandma's work in this temple, Songtham Kalayani, she thought, I could do the same thing, in Sri Lanka. So she picked up the idea, and by 1993, Sakyadhita conference was organized under the wings of Madame Ranjani de Silva. For the first time, you hear the word Sakyadhita conference. But then we counted that one as the third international Sakyadhita conference, calling the first one way back in Bodh Gaya as the first Sakyadhita, and the second Sakyadhita 1991 in Thailand, and 1993 International Conference on Buddhist Women in Sri Lanka. What Madame Ranjani did was very impressive. She was a very capable woman. I couldn't believe, she came to pick me up at the airport, and I went to help her out. But the way she organized things, she invited the president of Sri Lanka to attend the conference. So you can imagine when the president came, the ministers, ministers of this religious affairs, ministers of education also were there. We had this on video, the old style, the old style video. 300 bhikkhus came, and for the first time, the Dasasila Mata in Sri Lanka witnessed international Buddhist bhikkhunis from abroad. That must be very impressive for them, to see different colors, in this orange color, brown color, gray color. So for the first time, this small island of Sri Lanka, I would say, shivered. That was a real wave, wave movement that they could see the possibility of bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka itself. Why Sri Lanka is so important? Sri Lanka is the very first country to receive bhikkhuni lineage directly from India, way back in the 3rd century BC, in Ashoka's time, when King Ashoka the Great sent his own daughter, who was a bhikkhuni from India, to Sri Lanka. So Venerable Sankamitta, Venerable Princess Sankamitta, was actually the very first missionary bhikkhuni in Buddhist history. So it is such a beautiful movement in Sri Lanka. Venerable Madame Ranjani was the one who organized everything. We moved to from Colombo. We moved to, what is the name of the capital? No. What is the name of the place? Anuradhapura? No, the place where you actually had the elephant meeting us. Putต่อให้ดูแม่ฟังดี Mahintale. She had elephant all dressed up, waiting for the bhikkhunis from 20 countries. You can imagine the bhikkhunis from outside. They were so moved to see this elephant very playfully welcoming us. And we visited the place, different places that she took us there. Also, the exposure I had was the ancient site where they discovered the temple that Venerable Sankamitta and 500 bhikkhunis stayed, very near Mahindale. So this is what Madame Ranjani took us to different places. So Sakyadhita moved on from Sri Lanka, next one to Ladakh. I was still president. Of Sakyadhita from Sri Lanka to Ladakh. And in Ladakh in 1991, I resigned. And then Sakyadhita continued on up till today. But I come back to Sri Lanka. Right immediately after this International Buddhist Women's Conference, Sakyadhita Conference in Sri Lanka, one man came forward to offer the land so that the bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka can get started and they can be trained. So that's what we have as Sakyadhita Meditation Center, the one that many of you go there to receive ordination. The building, the land was given by this man, the very kind man, but the building and the whole area was funded by Madam Ranjani, who had to go to Germany and get some funding from Germany to start the building. So Sakyadhita was completely in the hand of Madam Ranjani. So she is the founder. She is the founder of Sakyadhita Center in Sri Lanka. We have to recognize this. And I would like to recognize this in this video, and it's going to go on YouTube, I hope, so that people understand how Sakyadhita Sri Lanka gets started by Madam Ranjani de Silva. The year was 1993. That was how it got started. And many of us now, the Asian bhikkhunis, not only from Thailand, benefit so much because there is this sima, water sima, the place, the boundary where it is, how to say, consecrated. The English word would be consecrated. Consecrated to be used for ordination. So it is properly done, and all the merit making that happened in that land, Madam Ranjani, please always receive the merit making that all of us have been doing since then. You know, it goes to you directly. So this is a story that we have to be grateful for the person who actually started the center, which becomes heaven, H-A-V-E-N, not heaven, ไม่ใช่สวรรค์นะคะ the place for our safety, the place where we can really reside and always return there, now almost annually, except the most immediate one that we went to Bodh Gaya. So the big ordination was done in Bodh Gaya early in 2019. But then after this, on the 23rd and 24th, I think a group of Thai bhikkhunis also will be going there to stay. But they move out for ordination. The ordination is organized by Sri Lankan monks elsewhere. I think, I do not know because it's still in the future. I cannot say for sure. So at least we know that among us, we have Madam Ranjani de Silva. She was the one who took care of me for my very first ordination in 2001. And then I went back again for full ordination in 2003. Again, I was under the wing of Madam Ranjani. I had 2 full ordination. My second full ordination, again Madam Ranjani organized in order so that I could claim the Siam Bangsa. But this is this is the historical landmark that we have to recognize the person who is behind all these good works that the bhikkhunis, Theravada bhikkhunis are doing in the present day. So thank you for you listening to my story on my history. Oh no, it's not history, it's her story. It is her story. So, and then among us we have Madam Ranjani de Silva to share with us all this good merit making that we have been doing for this past 18 years since my first ordination. So that goes to you. Thank you.